Hi everybody and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist and internationally published author, helping take your life, your business, your health, fitness, mindset and body from where you are right now to being absolutely unstoppable. And this morning you can probably hear some background noise. I'm recording this session to you live on the treadmill. Now today is Easter and it's dawn, or it's before dawn, the sun's not even up. Melbourne, Australia time, it's 5:57 a.m. I've been on the treadmill already for 30 minutes, recording another podcast for Rob Evans 365. And I thought that I would bring this to you. It's Easter, right? So, and I'm on the treadmill, and it's before dawn, and you think, what the hell are you doing? So I thought today it might be really meaningful to you to talk about those preconceived ideas that we have. And I want you to be able to sit there and listen to this today, or maybe you're on the treadmill or working out at the same time. And I want you to really challenge those perhaps values and beliefs that you've been carrying around for many years, maybe most of your life, and just really check in with yourself and say, actually, am I living the life the way that I want to? Am I living life on my terms? Because the podcast I just finished recording was about these public holidays that we have, special times of the year, Easter, Christmas, etc., and the rules that society kind of puts on us that we can't be happy unless we are with somebody, or the way that other people will judge you if you're not married or you're not in a relationship or something like that. So for me personally, I'm single. That's a choice that I've made for these past few years. I guess it's a case of I haven't been able to find a relationship that I've been able to make work up to this point in my life. But you can tell when you talk to people, and I'll meet new people like as clients and so forth, and they can be very quick to judge. And when they say, oh, why aren't you with somebody? Or, do you want to be with somebody? And I say, no, look, I have a fantastic life. And they're very quick to say things like, well, you're going to die old and lonely, and, imply that you're not going to have a great life because you're not with somebody. Now, maybe that's something that you believe, or maybe that you've heard that from other people before. And when it comes to days like today, being Easter, that can come up for you and it really smack you in the face and say, oh man, I'm looking on Facebook and there are people sharing photos with their partners and the great times and that they're having with them, and I feel like that I'm really missing out. I say, well, maybe you're looking in the wrong place right now, and you need to reflect more internally to say, well, how am I living my life, and am I living it on my terms, and am I achieving the things that I want to be achieving in my life? Because that doesn't really define success if I'm just with someone. For some people it is. For some people they look to just be with somebody and that's it for them, and I'm not going to judge them. What I would say is that I think there's more for them. And when you look for what is success for you, then I think you start to come up with some different definitions, and maybe that's when you will start to challenge things. So for instance, if I said to people that for Easter this year, I'm going to get up at 4:30 a.m. and I'm going to set my day up for success, then I'm going to do some exercise, I'm going to record a couple of podcasts for my clients and fitness family around the world, they would say, well, that's the wrong thing to do. Why would you do that? You should be sleeping in. It's a public holiday. Why would you be getting up that early? That doesn't make any sense. You're crazy. I mean, I've heard it all before. But most people don't live their life the way that I do. Most people don't have the level of success that I do. Most people don't strive to achieve a level of growth that I'm striving to achieve. So I say, well, if you want to be in the top 1% of what it is that you do, then you can't do what 99% of people do, which is what? Sleep in on public holidays, don't strive to achieve anything beyond some limit that they've set for themselves, aren't constantly looking to grow themselves, aren't constantly looking to obtain a better level of health, a better mindset, become a better communicator, build better relationships. Most people aren't working in that space. So many years ago, I'd get offended and I would take it personally. But you know that saying about water off a duck's back, now it doesn't matter. I kind of wear it like a badge of honour. I know my life is different. I know I live differently. Yeah, I'm single. Yeah, so what? I have an amazing life. I'm helping thousands of people to achieve better outcomes in their life and feel better as a result of that, and push themselves, strive for something better, achieve the goals that they want to achieve, and me help them find bigger goals for themselves, living life on their terms. I mean, that's exciting stuff. So why would I worry about what other people think? Because I know I'm doing the right thing. But people will continue to judge you. Whether you're living, well, it doesn't matter how you're living your life, there'll always be people that have an opinion about what you're doing. People don't necessarily like you to be successful. If they don't, you're hanging out with the wrong group of people, but there will always be people that aren't going to like something you say, aren't going to like what you're doing, aren't going to like some post that you maybe put up on social media, aren't going to like an episode on a podcast that you may write. There are people out there that just want to hate you, and the more successful you become, the more you put yourself out there, the more likely you are to put a target on your back for someone to say something negative about you. But like I say, today I want to challenge you to think about how are you living your life right now, and how could you do it a little bit differently? Have you always said, well, I'm going to do things this particular way? Why don't you challenge yourself and say, well, is that the right way? Can I do this better? For instance, when it comes to your health and fitness, there was a time in my life where I only used to train my body in the evenings because that fitted with my work life. And so when I first started training, gyms only opened at, I don't know, I'll say something like 8 a.m. They weren't open 24/7, they weren't open super early, and they often closed at the gym where I used to train when I came to Melbourne, closed at I think it was 9 or 9:30 p.m. Now I only used to train in the evening because I didn't think that I could get up that early to train. I didn't think I would have enough fuel in my body, that's what I told myself, to be able to do an early morning workout. So I thought, well, I need a day's food, works better in my schedule, I'd do it then. That's fine. But I can't remember the time that the gym opened. Maybe it didn't open early enough for me, but even if it did, I wouldn't have trained that early because I made up this story that it was just way too early for me to be training. Maybe that's something that you tell yourself. Now, where my best time of the day to do a workout would be is first thing in the morning. And why is that? Because I'm freshest. I don't have to rush a lot of the time, especially on a weekend. I don't have to rush. But through the week I do, because as of next week, my days are starting at 5 a.m. as opposed to 5:30. So I'm not going to get up earlier than that to do my training. Why, you would say? The Rock, he gets up at 4 a.m. to get in the gym and do his training because of his schedule. I say, well, because my day is so long and because my strength and conditioning coach wants me to get 7 hours sleep, I'm not going to be able to get to bed and asleep by 9 p.m. just because of my commitments with my kids. So I choose to train early on the days either on the weekend or when I don't have the kids. But that's now my best time of the day to train, whereas once I never would have even contemplated getting up that early because the story that I told myself about it being way too hard to train at that time of the day. So that was something that I challenged. And the first time I did it, it probably wasn't successful, but the second time I did it, maybe it felt a little easier. Now it's like I look forward to it. Certainly if I go to a local commercial gym, it's less busy, more able to get the equipment that I want, don't have to wait, so it works perfectly fine. Maybe that's something for you. The way that I used to eat, I also challenged. So when I first started training, I was eating so much in terms of high energy food. So I was trying to bulk up, so I was eating about, I would say, at least half a loaf of bread a day. I was probably eating 3 bananas a day, so all high energy food, lots of rice. Trying to fill myself with as many healthy calories as I could. But now, all these years later, I don't eat bread at all. I just don't eat it. One, I find it doesn't really work well in my body. I've become better at listening to what my body holds on to and what it doesn't. And I found that bread doesn't really work well. I used to tell myself that I needed to eat high energy carbohydrates like your rice bread, pastas, that kind of stuff every day. But now I only eat those on the days where I work out. And it's around the time that I work out. About almost a decade ago now, I got some extra training from who's now my strength and conditioning coach around how to program my metabolism better. And that involved eating around my workouts in a 3-hour window. So basically, if I'm starting a workout, an intense workout, so the one I'm doing right now is just walking, so that's not an intense workout, but around that, I would make sure that I had a pre-workout drink, a post-workout drink, and then 2 other meals within 3 hours. Now that can seem like a lot, and when I first started doing it, I told myself, this is way too hard. It's too complicated. The timing of it, I can't get in that much food, and I stopped doing it. I tried it for a few months, and I thought, this is just too hard, I can't do it. And then I dropped away from it. And then, I can't remember the exact time, but maybe like a year later, or 6 months later, I said, no, that's silly. I can tell that this really works. The only issue is around my ability to time it. And maybe it's just something in my head saying you can't do it when you really can. It's just that you're choosing not to because you've made up this story about what these high energy carbohydrates mean in your body. So I started doing it again, and guess what? Now it's the way that I live my life. So if I don't do a workout on a day, I don't do any high energy carbohydrates. Now when I first started doing it, I would say, oh, those days where I don't train, it's so hard. It's so hard. Why? Because I'd conditioned myself to eat the high energy carbohydrates for many years. And it was difficult for me to just change it like that. But now, it's no problem at all. It just isn't. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's what you need to do because you need to understand the full program. And I'm just giving you an example of where I had changed my mindset based on how I'd conditioned myself one way, and it was a belief that I had that I couldn't do it any different. So when you really challenge those things, you get different outcomes. And now that's the only way that I live. And it's probably the only way that I'll ever live because it just fits in with my lifestyle so well, and I get the results from it, and I feel amazing. So when you start to feel those benefits of the change, that's when your whole world really starts to change as well. Really powerful. So I'm sure there are some things for you that you've been living a certain way for so long, doing things a certain way for so long, telling yourself that this is the only way to do it, but maybe that's not true. Well, you know it's not true because there's always more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. maybe you're just not looking in the right place. Maybe you need to challenge yourself some more to get a better outcome for yourself. Because what you're doing right now could be done in a better way. Maybe that is for your health, your fitness, your mindset, your body. I think if you approach every single day with a mindset of how do I make today better than yesterday? How do I keep growing and becoming the best possible version of myself? Then that starts to open you up to other areas where you perhaps haven't considered before. If you're constantly searching for information, searching for knowledge, then that's when you get new ideas planted in your mind. And I'm not suggesting about chasing every shiny object, but I am suggesting that maybe it's time to challenge some of the things that you've done in the past. For instance, getting up at Easter before the crack of dawn and doing some exercise. Maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe you're just sitting there listening to this right now and you're in that place where you know your health is not at your optimum. You're working on those other areas of your life, but your health is not where it wants to be or where you want it to be. And maybe because you're making up some stories about how much time that you do or you don't have to be able to do these things. I know people that have so much time on their hands and yet they choose not to do the things that are going to move their life forward because they've got some mind blockages around what's causing them to stay where they are. If you think you're always going to be where you are right now, then that's the first problem we need to fix. Because I can tell you from my own personal experience that life will stay the same if you want it to stay the same. You say, no, I don't want it to stay the same. Well, you obviously don't want it to change enough to jolt you out of the state of mind that you're in right now. And if you're expecting that somebody else is going to come along and jolt you out of that, then let me be that person right now and say, you've got to stop just talking about all this stuff and you've got to start doing things. No one person is going to just come along and take away all your pain. My experience shows that you've got to do it yourself. Other people will inspire you to maybe make that change and motivate you to make that change. But unless you step up and take the action yourself to make that change, unfortunately, you're going to be sadly disappointed. It took me many years to work that out. And yes, you can get coaching, but if you don't listen to the coaching and take the advice of the good coaching, then unfortunately, you're not going to get anywhere. And don't go searching for the coach that's just going to agree with what it is that you say you want to do. You have to challenge yourself. Life is short. Life is precious. You're worth it. Challenge your values and beliefs and see if you can get a better, more powerful, different outcome. Have a safe and happy Easter wherever you are in the world. If you want to connect with me, go to thementaltoughnessandbodyshow.com, opt in for a free consultation and let's start a conversation. See you tomorrow.